This is probably the most iconic alpine trail in Europe. As such, it's fairly accessible, it's well signposted and has plenty of entry and exit points. If you're flying in, you will most likely land in Geneva. From there, you can catch a shuttle bus to Chamonix. There's no shortage of companies servicing that popular route, and one even has a counter right at the airport. Traditionally, Tour de Mont Blanc starts in Les Houches, which is a short public bus ride from Chamonix, where most people stay before starting their TMB. Chamonix has an abundance of outdoor stores, where you can grab last-minute supplies and, most importantly, gas canisters, as you are not allowed to take them on a plane. This is also where we got our full-size TMB map, which proved to be super useful, and we can't recommend it enough. We got it from the Tourist Info Center. The only accommodation we booked in advance was our first night at Chamonix. Everything else was booked either on arrival or the day before. Since we started our hike in late June, which is just before the start of the season, we had no problems getting accommodation. If you're planning to hike the TMB in a big group or in the peak season, then it's advisable to book your accommodation well in advance. You have two overnight options along the trail. You can either stay at a designated campsite or at a refugio. Wild camping is not allowed, especially in Italy and Switzerland. It's a bit of a grey area. Supposedly you're allowed to bivouac, which is a short, in at sunset, out by sunrise overnight camp. We mostly camped at designated campsites, with 2 stays at refugios and 2 wild camps, plus 1 hotel stay at Courmayeur. There are 2 main resupply points along the TMB. The first one in Courmayeur in Italy, and the second in Champex in Switzerland. Both have outdoor stores in case you need special hiking items. Drinkable water is readily available on the trail. We only carried a 1.5-litre bottle each, topping it up every time we passed a water faucet. We did carry a water filter, but only used it once or twice when getting water from an alpine stream. Being a popular trail, TMB is very well marked and easy to follow. The main thing to watch out is the different trail options marked at junctions where TMB intersects with other trails. Just keep an eye out for the distinctive TMB logo. The terrain is rocky and rough, and can be snowy and icy in places, especially at high passes, depending on the weather and elevation. We started our hike in late June and finished in early July. Most days we had temperatures in mid to high 20s, dropping to about 15 at night. Keep in mind that temperatures can drop 10 to 15 degrees at high altitudes, especially on windy days. We had a couple of rainy days and even a storm during our last night on the trail. The highest point on our hike was Col de Force at 2,715 meters. Now this col was on a high variant, and the highest point on a regular TMB is Grand Col Ferret at 2,532 meters, on the border between Switzerland and Italy. For us, the hardest day was day 2. It's a long day and it's just one continuous ascent. Also, being day 2, we were still getting used to those daily climbs and the altitude changes. Time-wise, our longest day was day 4, from a wild camp near Col de la Seigne all the way to Courmayeur. It might have only been 18 kilometers, but it took us almost 11 hours to get there. The gear that you take with you is very personal, so we'll skip all the essentials and concentrate on things that were specific to this trail. Thermals. We took them, but we didn't use them. The nights were quite warm and we often kept our -5 rated sleeping bags unzipped. Microspikes. We did use them on a couple of occasions on the snow-covered passes. France and Italy use the Europower points, but Switzerland uses a slightly different pattern, so make sure you have a Swiss option in your kit. We purchased prepaid local SIMs in Chamonix, which worked well, though they did require a bit of setting up. It's best to carry cash on the trail and top it up in towns. Euro is being used in France and Italy, and Switzerland uses Swiss francs. If you're stuck, you can also use Euro in Switzerland, but at the local exchange rate, which might not always be favorable. We used a little guidebook by Jim Manthorpe. It has all the information you need about the TMB. While we didn't take the book with us, we did study it thoroughly while planning the trip. The one last thing we would recommend is, if you've got a couple of days to spare, spend some time in Courmayeur, Champex and Chamonix. The towns have plenty to offer and are well worth an extended stay.